Welcome back. Now we'll talk about tar, gzip and gunzip commands. What are the purpose of this command? Gzip command will do compress the file and gunzip command will decompress the file, and tar will archive and extract the file or directory. So what is the use and when we use these commands? Generally in our Linux operating systems, lot of log files will be generated, whether it can be OS related logs or it can be application related logs or it can be database related logs. So whether respective database team or application team or OS team or it may be DevOps team, whoever is managing it, the specific ownership of the log files, sometimes they need to compress the files. Why? Because in the operating systems, whatever the drives which we call as the file systems we create, it's a limited size. So whenever the log files are consuming more space, then it may reach to 100%. The file system, if reaches 100%, then application or database may not function properly. So in order to do that, sometimes we need to compress the file in a emergency situation. Basically, in this kind of scenarios, we configure log rotation so that automatically log files will be zipped and archived. That we'll talk in the next lecture. But now, in case some scenarios, if you want to compress a file or if you want to archive a file manually, then we need to use this tar, gzip and gunzip command. Okay. So now let's go and connect to the machine and we'll see how to execute these commands. So right now I'm connected to this Ubuntu machine. Then I'll go to the log location. The default location is the var log, or we can take any file for practice. So I'll just go to the var log, and here let's say some log files are available, and if you see, these are the default log files. Some are like automatically are in the zip format. Why? Because it's configured with the log rotation, which we'll talk in the next session. So now if you take any log file example here, so that we can execute gzip command on that, and here if you see, this is the one of the file which is around 9 MB. If you want to know what is the exact size, just you can type ls-ltr and you can use h, which is a human readable format, it will display. So if I execute this, then it is showing 9.3 MB of size. So we can do experiment on this specific log file. So now what I'm going to do, gzip, and this is the log file name. So it is going to compress. Compress means what? It will reduce the size and it will save lot of space in your machine and file system. So when I hit enter, gzip, based upon the size, it will take time and it will compress. And if you go back and see again, and now you can see this is the one. So btmp.1.gz. So this is how you can able to compress this. And previously it was 9.3 MB, and now again if you see, I want to check only specific this file, and you can see it's became 271 KB of size. So from 9.3 MB to it became 271 KB. One thing you need to remember, whenever you are executing gzip, this will apply on the direct file. Now you don't see this btm.1 file. So always remember ls-ltr. If I check, I will give star here. So I see only one file, means the whatever the file was there, it is going to compress and zip. So this is how you can able to compress. And now again if you want to decompress it, gunzip command we are going to use, and the same btm p.1.gz. Now again if I execute it, then again it got decompressed, and you can see here again this is the file, and you can see ls-ltrh. Or else we'll do one thing, we'll copy this file for a better understanding to the root home directory. And now I'll go to the root home directory. There we don't see any much files, so that it will be very easy. So now I think I copied wrong file. So cp-p var log, and then var log btmp dot, what is the name of that one, btmp dot. So now what I have done, I copied this file here, so that here we can see less files, so that it will be easy. rm-rf, I'll delete this older file. So the same command again I'll execute gzip, and you can see before that I'll just use lsf and ltr, so I can see only one file. Now I'll do gzip and btmp1. So now hit enter. So it is taking time and it's done. Now you can see there is no original file. This is the one, it got compressed. Now again if you want to decompress it, gunzip and btmp1.gz. Now again if I hit enter, then this is uncompressed. So this is how you can able to compress a file. For example, you want to send these huge files, log files, or what are the files which are in huge size, you want to send it to different server, or you want to bring it back to your local machine, so the unit can compress it, the size will be very less, and then it will be easy to move from one machine to another machine, because if it is a less size, then it will be less time is going to take to move from one machine to another machine, or to download it to the local. So this way you can reduce the space utilization inside your machine by compressing the files, whether it can be log files or any other files it can be. So mostly we'll use this on the log files. Apart from the log files also we can use it on any large files, so we can compress it. So now apart from this we can use another command called tar command, but before that what we can do, why we need to use tar. So now there is a directory called data here, and if you go and see the data, and now inside this data you can see again multiple directories, and again in those directories some other data is also available. Now all together I want to make it as a one file. Like in Windows we have a WinRAR file. Like if a WinRAR file contains one file, but if you open it, it can be multiple directories, and inside the directories again multiple files. Same way now I want to archive all this into a single file, then it will be easy for me to carry that file to move from one location to another location instead of carrying this directory, right? So and also we can compress it to reduce the size. So tar command will help you to archive this. So here we used gzip and gunzip to compress the file and decompress the file with the gunzip command. But we cannot use gzip command on a directory. Okay, we can use only on a file. So we should use tar command. This is going to archive and it is going to compress also, but it is not going to save much space like a gzip command. Gzip command will save lot of space. It will compress a lot on a file and it will give more space. But tar command will also compress and it will archive, but it will not release that much of space which gzip will give. Okay, so now let's give a try, and here you can see some options. We can use these options with tar command -cvf whenever you want to archive a file or directory. Tar command can be used on a file or directory, but gzip command can be only used on a file, and that too it is compressed. Tar command we can do, we can archive and compress on a file or directory. Okay, so now -c is for compress, and V for verbose. Verbose in the sense whatever this activity is going to do in the background, it will show in the front end on the terminal. If you don't want to see what is happening, then you can ignore V. If you want to see, you can provide V in the option. And F is a file name, like what is the file name you want to give to that archive. That's why we mentioned F. So let's go and do that. So now I'm inside the data directory. I just come out. Now I want to archive this data directory. I'm going to use *cvf, and I want to give the name. So what name I want to give? Data.tar, and then I'm going to give the real directory. So what it is going to do, the data directory will be as it is. From the data directory it is going to create a tar file. It is not going to directly apply tar file on data directory. We should give a name, and whatever the content of this data will be archived into this file, and we can see both data directory will be there, and we can see this file also after archive. So now let's execute it. So now if you see here, once I executed it, This is the content. This is a verbose. That's why we provided verbose. What it is doing? So it is doing archive to all the data which is inside this data directory. So now the command is executed. This one successfully archived, and you can see ls-ltr. Now if you see, data is as it is, and the data same is available inside the data directory, and this is an archive. So everything whatever was inside this data now is also inside this data.tar, but it's become as a one file. Okay, now if you want to compare the size, just use -sh command and data directory. Okay, so it will tell the total size of this directory is 20 MB. And now what is the size of this data.tar? And you can use ls-ltrh data.tar. So this is also 20 MB. So it did not compress, it's only archived. So whatever is inside this data now is also available in the data.tar as an archive file. And now what you can do to compress it, you can use gzip command on this tar file. Gzip and data.tar. Okay, so now what happens? It is going to do compress, and it will reduce the size of this tar file. So based on the size, it is going to take time. It is 20 MB. Now it is done. Now if you see, this is the one. Okay, so now the size has been reduced. So if you see here, it became 17 MB now. So it did not reduce much. Again, if it is a huge files like a 1 GB, 2 GB, then we can see the difference. So now it is compressed. So now you can use this file anywhere you want to move it to different location. So it will be easy, and wherever you move this file, there in the destination machine, there they can extract it. Assume this is our destination machine. Now what we can do, we can extract this. So before that, what I'm going to do, I will remove this data directory. So rm-rf data directory. So now I'll remove it, and then I'll untar it. Okay, before that we can use gunzip command, step by step gunzip command, and then we should use tar command to extract it. So now zip format, it is uncompressed. Now we are going to use tar command, tar hyphen. This time we should use xvf. When we are archiving, we were using C option. When we want to extract, we should use X option to extract. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, so I'm going to use xvf. Remaining V and F option is same, but only we should change X instead of C. Now data.tar. Now it is extracted. Now if you see here, both are available. The tar file is also available, and this data directory is also available. And if you don't want this one, you can remove it, because unnecessarily space is wasted. So you can remove this file and you can have this data. So this is how you can able to use it. And for example, you want to see the content before extracting, you want to see the content of the tar file, what is inside the tar file. So you can use tar hyphen tf. Okay, T is option you should use, and data.tar. So without extracting, I can know what is inside this tar file. So if you hit enter, so it will display this. It is not going to extract, but it is only display the content of this tar file. So this is the information. So you can see what exactly is available. Okay, and now one final thing we need to discuss in the tar command. So we can use -z option also instead of doing multiple commands. So previously what I have done, I created one archive file, and on the tar file I executed gzip command. So two commands I executed. So instead of that, I can use -z option over here. Then automatically it will archive and it will compress also. So instead of using gzip command separately, I can use -z option over here under the tar command. So let's try that. So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this tar file data.tar. Then I can see data directory. So I'm going to execute tar-cv. I'm going to add z now, zf, and then data directory. And now, and we should give the name data.tar and then data, the source, and hit enter. Now it is going to compress and archive, both it is going to do. So we no need to execute two commands now. In single command we can able to achieve that. And if I go here, see, it is zipped, and you can see the size. Previously it was like du-sh. Let me clear the screen. And if you see here, du-sh, previously it was 20 MB and tar file was also 20 MB. Now if you see du-sh and see tar file, now it's became 17 MB, means it is zipped. Previously when we used gzip command also, it became 17 MB. So now also it's the same. So this is how we can able to compress, decompress or archive the files. And one more final option I would like to inform with the tar command. Now we experimented with the directory. You can do same with the file also. The instead of using gzip command on a file, sometimes you need to use tar command. Why? Because I'll go to the var log directory, and here we have a log files. Let's say I want to zip this file, but I don't want to touch the original file. But if you use gzip command, then it will directly zip the original file. What happens if it zip the original file? OS will not find a syslog file to update the events of the operating system or kernel or any other softwares. So it will not write the logs because it did not find syslog file. So that's why sometimes, let's say this syslog file is occupied around 1 GB, 2 GB or 3 GB. Okay. And now what you need to do, you should not use gzip command these kind of files. So whenever, if you don't want to touch the original file, then you should go with the tar command. So what I'm going to do, tar-cvzf syslog.tar, and then what I'm going to do, syslog. So now if I hit enter, it's done, and you can see here syslog.tar is available and this one is also available. Now what you can do, to release the space, you can nullify this file. So what I can do, greater than symbol and syslog. So this way the file will be nullified, but it will not get deleted. So whatever the content is inside this file, everything will be erased. And now hit enter. So now it is done. So the file is nullified, now it's 0. So file is still available. So OS will keep update this file and OS will write the logs inside this syslog. So always remember, for any application logs or OS log files, you are want to reduce the space, follow this process. Bye for now. We'll meet in the next video.